So one of the things about software that I think has got us to where we are now, this situation of essentially useless things, is this evolution of software as a product from being something that was constrained by many of the constraints of real world physical products to this ethereal kind of vaporous thing that we have now, which is not really attached to the real world, arguably in any way where it takes up space, whatever kind of space you want to think of. So you look at software existing in stores, in boxes, on shelves, right? So straight away you've got packaging, which kind of constrains the software makers to having to really promote that product or sell that product in the same way that any other shelved product is sold. Firstly, earning that space, right? There's limited space in a store, so you got to earn that space. You got to really show that you're doing something that you say you're doing, and you've got to be able to say that on the box. Secondly, you're going to be positioned right next to your competitors in that category or whatever that type of product is. Then you've got the installation media taking up more space. Then you have to install that software on a computer. So you have to earn that space on the person's computer. And then there's the cost, right? You buy a product from the shop, you've got to think about the space of your finances and what you can afford, right? So it has to earn that as well. And gradually over time, these things have kind of broken down and been taken away from software. Obviously the packaging and the installation media replaced by the ability to sell software on the internet and to download it, to install it that way. Then, the evolution of the web and the increasing prominence of web applications, you start getting applications you don't need to install anymore. So there's the space on your hard drive is no longer a factor, so they don't need to earn that anymore. And you could go as far as talking about the costs, and you look at a lot of the major software products these days, like Figma or Slack or Notion, and you look at any of these kind of software as a service in the cloud, in the browser kind of pieces of software. And if you're using it for personal use, generally they have a free tier, so you don't have to pay for it. So that is out of your mind, that ability, that need to earn your the space in your bank account, right? But when you do pay for it, it's not you, it's not the user, the person using it, that is paying for it, it's the employer. So it's still not there, right? That space. So software as a product currently, I think, is at the peak of not taking up any space in our lives. And what that results in is a much lower threshold for demanding something from that software, or at least recognizing that the software is both not promising anything and not delivering on anything particular. And when it does deliver, like, there are people who love Notion and people who love Figma, but when it does deliver, it's also important to recognize is what it's delivering on in those cases is something that those people have defined themselves. They've found their own use for it, which is not a bad thing, but it's also a great thing for the makers of that software, because they have no responsibility to deliver on that thing. They didn't say this is what it's for. So the only thing they need to deliver on is uptime and, no bugs or like the technical ability to deliver. But as far as like purpose, there's no responsibility. It's complete vapor. And software as a product is now at that ultimate level of vapor.